At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jah.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to...
All right, folks, at this time, we want to say welcome to Focus on Liberia. I'm Anthony C. along with my partner, Dennis Jah. Focus on Liberia, of course, where we educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. There is something that we are hearing. We're not sure, but we have two outstanding Liberians who have unique knowledge of what we are hearing, and they are here to explain it better to us. We have a question. Who wants the Liberian Consulate in Minnesota closed and why? Well, let me welcome my partner, Dennis Jah. Dennis, it's good to have you. Welcome to Between the Headlines.
We are here Between the Headlines. We want to welcome all viewers from across the globe and want to, in a special way, welcome our brother, Mr. Samson H. Williams, and Honorable Jackson George to Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. Yes, we heard the news that the embassy or the consulate in Minnesota, the one that is serving Liberians in the Midwest, may close down. Is this true? Who's doing that and why? We are here to sort these things out. Let me welcome community activist Samson H. Williams, whose office is in the consulate in Minnesota. Brother, welcome to Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia.
Thank you, Mr. Jah.
And this is your first time, so I extend you a bottle of water to say welcome. Make this your home.
Thank you. I have that.
Thank you. I also want to welcome Honorable Jackson George, the one who is the honorary consul at the consulate in Minnesota. Honorable George, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you.
We are glad to have you. This is not your first time, but we can still give you water, okay? Again, we want to welcome our viewers from across the globe. This is Focus on Liberia. Mr. Sear, you too, you are in Minnesota. I believe you have benefited from the services provided by this consulate. And so we are all, we're taken aback when we heard this news. That's why we want our brothers here to tell us what's obtaining. Back to you, Mr. Sear.
Dennis, thank you. You are right. I visited the consulate over 5 or 6 times. I directed people there. I helped people to fill out the form, to get their passport through the embassy. I think the embassy is doing an outstanding job. It serves the Midwest, and there are so many Liberians on the side. So when Samson contacted me and said, "Hey, Mr. Journalist, there is something that is concerning. We want to talk about it." I said, all right, let us do this. So folks in cyberspace, Focus on Liberia is hearing that the consulate in Minnesota, serving thousands of Liberians in the Midwest, may be closing down. We have our guests, and they're going to help us to sort this out. I will now welcome Samson H. Williams. Mr. Williams is a community advocate here in Minnesota. Mr. Williams, what did you hear that you want our listeners to know concerning the consulate here in Minnesota? Don't tell me it's closing down, because I won't take that.
Thank you, Mr. C, and thanks for having me. Thanks, Mr. Jah. It's a great privilege to be here tonight, and thanks to Focus on Liberia for giving us the attention and considering this matter so serious. Having heard about it just today, you're already airing it. That's what patriotism is all about, and we must give you guys, a huge applause for doing this. Like Mr. Jah said, my office, Williams Proceed Legal Assistance Services, is here within the consulate, and so I am not going to be speaking about things that I have no knowledge about, because I have a vivid experience when it comes to what's happening here in the at the consulate. So I reached out to Mr. CH because we have been hearing. I would say, I mean, I want to speak about myself first. I've been hearing and witnessing a lot of incidents with individuals coming to receive their visas and renew their passports and even do the biometrics here. That they are being told that the consulate is going to be closing down. So it drew my attention, and I went to Mr. George's office to do a little meeting with him to have an idea as to what was happening from government, point of view. He told me that, I mean, he has been receiving calls from the foreign ministry, from the U.S. embassy in Washington, D.C., that the consulate is going to close down. Now, evidently, the consulate here was operating 5 days a week when we first had the consulate here in Minnesota. Now, we all understand that the consulate is not just serving Liberians in Minnesota who are naturalized American and are getting visas to go back to visit Liberia, something that is contributing to the economy of, Liberia, to a greater extent. But they're also serving the entire Midwest. We're talking about over 12, 13 states here. Liberians are coming from everywhere, to come and get visas here. When I started applying for visa to visit Liberia since 2012, believe me, we were sending our passport over to Washington, D.C., and sometimes it takes a whole lot of time to get that back, and it was very difficult. Now we have the consulate here in Minnesota, and we as Liberians, Minnesotans that are so proud of this, great initiative, are now taken aback that the government of Liberia, so to speak, the foreign minister, is opting to, abolish this great initiative, hard work that took so many years to come to reality. And it's very disappointing. So my eagerness drew me to the point where I had a conversation with Mr. George. And like I said, evidently I spoke with the then ambassador, George Patton. So this is over 4 months ago.
Mr. William, let me stop you because this is breaking news for most of us here. So let's take it step by step.
Please.
Let me bring let's take it step by step because I'm trying to actually process this. So let me go to the honorary counsel to for those of us who are not familiar, for those of our viewers who are not familiar with the consulate in Minnesota and the process when it was established. Honorable counsel, just walk us through briefly, a little history about this consulate and what had been its services to the people in the Midwest and other Liberians. Just briefly so that we can bring our viewers up to speed.
So thank you, Dennis. In the 90s, from the upset of the Civil War, Liberians in the Midwest have always advocated, from community organizations, advocates have always advocated for Liberia to open an extension of the embassy on this end in the Midwest. So a couple of years ago, after vigorous fight and advocacy, the government of Liberia agreed in principles and to have a consulate, honorary consul position open so that Liberians in the Midwest could benefit from services of the consulate. Honorary consuls are not paid official to government. We represent government interest. We are business people who own our own offices. This office is not paid for by the Liberian government. It's my office. It's a business office. And so we provide functions of the government in our office. And so we've been doing this for a couple of years. I want to then thank the Liberian community in the Midwest, or the Liberian community at large, for the support we've received, and we've worked very diligently to ensure that Liberians on this end receive excellent service, effective service, and efficient service. So we've done that over the years. And so I'm very grateful for the work we've done, we continue to do, and that's where we are. So again, my position as honorary consul, that Liberia has a lot of honorary consul around the world, and they work with government to provide functions that where government cannot be, we serve those purposes. So in Minnesota, we are one honorary consul position that is doing a little more than the regular honorary consul. We provide consulate services, which we provide visas for travelers traveling to Liberia. We provide, and we also provide biometric services for Liberians wanting Liberian passports. On the other hand, we've provided we've provided so many other services for Liberians who are arrested, Liberian in jail, immigration problem. I mean, we function almost like a full consulate here to deal with the immense problems and issues that Liberians have in the Midwest. And so we've done that. I've visited police station, I've visited prison compounds, and the list goes on. But again, we've come to a point where there is a reform. My understanding from the minister that there is a reform going on, and that they've applied for a full consulate to be established in Minnesota. And so that's the transition. What I've asked for is a smooth transition so that the people do not struggle and suffer while this reform is going on.
Thank you. Before I send it back to Mr. C.A., to the best of my knowledge, we have the embassy in D.C. We have a consulate in New York, I believe, Atlanta, and Minneapolis. Is there any other? Right, that's correct, right?
Correct.
So what does it mean when the one in the Midwest is closed down? What?
Well, I think over the years, when you have over 45,000 Liberians living in Minnesota, excluding our kids that we born here, and we frequently take those kids to Liberia. So you're talking about 45,000 Liberians in Minnesota. You're talking about maybe 8,000 to 9,000 in North South Dakota, 16 in Iowa, 16,000 in Iowa. If you add the Midwest together, you're talking about maybe I would say over 100 or 200,000 Liberians, excluding other nationals traveling to Liberia. This consulate has been able to ease the burden on the embassy. We've been able to help Liberians traveling or other nationals traveling to Liberia to make the travel easy in terms of obtaining visas to travel to Liberia. And so I think my hope is that this doesn't close down, because the effect would be enormous. My hope is that there be a smooth transition, and so that the Liberian people or those traveling in the Midwest do not struggle to obtain something like a visa to travel to Liberia.
So has there been any communication to you, or this is speculation, or is it official?
Well, prior to Ambassador Patton leaving, I was informed by Ambassador Patton that the Foreign Ministry was going through a new reform, and they wanted a full consulate in Minnesota. I have not received any official document. I have spoken to the minister myself, who informed me of who authenticated that information, that he's trying to get a full consulate here. But I have not received any document or letter informing me of the process. And I'm hoping that that process will take place, so that as a businessman, I have to move my resources in ways that benefit me. So I'm hoping that there's a process that will take place, so that, again, like I said, my interest here is that Liberian or travelers in the Midwest who are used to this embassy or the consulate here will not be hurt in the process of this reform that is taking place.
You say full consulate. What does that mean?
Well, a full consulate would be like the one operating in New York, where the government of Liberia will have to send in a consul general,
who is paid,
send in full staff, paid for office space, pay for diplomats to be here. They will have to carry diplomatic plates here. So just replicate or duplicate New York. That's exactly what it's going to be. So the government will be taking on the responsibility of paying for office space, paying for staff here, housing, and all of the different things that come with that. At this point, the government is spending no money for what is happening here in Minnesota.
Thank you.
Thank you. And one of the things I want to find out, you talk about issuing visas to Liberians and other nationals trying to go to Liberia, and you are doing renewal of visas and even new visa. I mean, not visa, but passports. You do all of that. I did not hear about laissez-passer. Is it that you don't provide that service?
No, we don't.
Okay, you don't.
Liberian traveling to Liberia with an emergency situation, we have to contact the Liberian embassy. We try to facilitate that if it is an emergency in terms of death or something happening. We contact the embassy. We help the individual, the applicant, process that, but we do not issue a travel document or laissez-passer through this consulate.
So you explained that the honorary council, given the nature of it, the Liberian government is not spending any money to run the honorary council in terms of renters, staff, and all of that, but you provide services on behalf of the Liberian government.
Correct.
Do you get any commission for the services that you provide as a business person on behalf of the Liberian government?
Well, I would say technically no. I get no commission from the ministry in terms of percentage of what is paid for. In some countries they do. Canada and other countries share commission with the honorary council for the services that they provided. But at some point, there is a fee. If people want to expedite the passports, they pay a fee. We use that to pay for printing and other stuff. But on the show, in terms of contract, in terms of sharing of costs or sharing of income, we do not share income with the government.
So in short, you are telling me that you have not been making money as a businessman doing this.
Well, we're not supposed to be making money as a businessman for this process. We're supposed to be facilitating the process. And so I'm not worried about the income part of it. I think that's my least worried. What I'm concerned about is the fact that I do not want Liberians or travelers traveling in the Midwest to go through the hard time of, I'm not saying that DC is not doing its work effective. I think just the fact that people can walk here with thousands of Liberians here can walk into a consulate, talk to someone, get the visas and walk away. Or in Iowa Drive here, we got a lot of people driving from North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa. People are busy, they're working. Some people got an emergency, they need to travel tomorrow morning. They can drive up here and make it work. So the ease of what we do has been very helpful to many thousands and thousands of Liberians, yet and other nationals traveling to Liberia. So again, I think the community will make a determination as to what it is in terms of if there is no. I think why we are here right now is that on Wednesday, I was in Liberia. People came here and insulted my staff, threatening to do a lot of stuff to this consulate, which I feel was wrong. Then come on this coming Wednesday, we don't have visas to issue. We're still awaiting the embassy to send us books. And if we don't have that by Wednesday, this is my business center. And so I need to be at work doing my business. I see chaos coming here, but I will have to get either the police department to come in to solve some of that problem or something of that nature. But I'm not gonna not come to my office because I don't have visas to issue. So I'm also waiting to see how. I spoke to the ambassador today. He thinks there will be a solution to the problem, but again, Wednesday is day after tomorrow, and so I'm hoping that this medium people would understand that we don't have the books to issue the visa. So that's my most concern.
Thank you. And that is a legitimate fear and concern that you have there. On one hand, you don't want Liberians who are used to the services you provide to hear that, oh, tomorrow those services are not available because of what is a refund that is ongoing. You are seeking a smooth transition. But from what you said, the government is saying, hey, this is a refund. In fact, we want to turn it into a full-scale consulate. And your fear is that, well, they must stop providing services and then resume at some time in the process. And in that time, where will Liberians go?
But I think
But there has not been any official communication in clear terms to you who's running this, providing these services for Liberians on behalf of the Liberian government. So what is missing here? Why are they not telling you in clear terms?
Well, my
what
brother,
they're
I think, Mr. C, I think I think the best person to ask what is missing, I think, would be the minister or the ambassador, because I think my frustration right now is that we have people mailing their books here. Every day we get mail-in books, right? Some people have to travel emergency. Some people have to travel as fast as possible, and my frustration here is I have gotten no clear indication of what this process is. Do I send these people books back? Nobody, I'm not getting any clear communication as to, okay, send everybody books back, let them send them to DC. Every day I get mail, people are dropping the books, people are calling, our phones are going off, our voicemail is getting full. We get 1,000 calls in an hour. And it is frustrating. And so I'm hoping that I can get some clarity on the process so that we can then tell the Liberian people, do not send your books here, send it to DC, New York, or Atlanta, or say something to them. I want answers. I want our people to get some information so that they don't go through the hustle of sending the books here. It costs $27, $28 to mail your book one way. And these people are putting, that's almost $50, and I'm sending it back to them like that. And then they got to send it back to DC or New York or Atlanta, paying the same $50 again. So that's almost $100 just because I don't have clarity as to what this process is. And I'm hoping that, like the ambassador said, we are hoping that in a week or two we'll have some clarity as to what's going to happen here. But again, I came from 5 days to 3 days, and I came to 1 day, and even with that, we were still providing service. But this is where we are. And so your question is clear. Your question is right. I think the question, if you can ask, would be the embassy would be the best person to ask what is the way forward.
Thank you. Let me come to Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams, how did you get involved in this, and what are you hearing, and what other steps have you taken to first verify the information, and what are you going to do?
Well, thank you, Mr. C. Like I said, on my end note, before Mr. George came in, I had mentioned that I reached out to the government of Liberia. I reached out to the ambassador, the then ambassador, George Patton, and I reached out to the chief of office staff to the president, those who I felt that were within my reach. I reached out to them, and from all indication, what I heard, it does not seem like this is something that is to the knowledge of the president, and I'm taken aback at that. So we have some questions. Is the government, the office of the president aware of this? What is the foreign minister position? We want to hear from the foreign minister. Now, Mr. George, said it clearly. We have Liberians that are traveling from everywhere. As an advocate, I work here as a private business owner. I work here, but I'm here all of the time. Last Wednesday, if you were in this building, it was chaotic, and I had to leave my work and go in the hallway to talk to people out there because that door was gotten broken down, and the staff here were actually threatened. I asked them to reach out to Mr. George. The frustration. Imagine a person. We all know what the weather was like last weekend or last week. Imagine people driving 7 hours coming over here to the consulate here in Minnesota for visa and being told, well, with out of visa books, we're not going to issue you visa. People are dropping off applications. Today, I did my own assessment, Mr. CA, and found visa application. What is going to happen? My concern is whatever that affects the people of Liberia in the diaspora, Liberians in the diaspora, should be the concern of national government of Liberia. There is a simple rule that says, we all may be familiar with this from philosophy by John Stewart. It says it's the rule and the act of utilitarianism. whatever we do in this life, and I quote, should be done to the good of the greater number of the people. So it's not just about one individual benefiting. This is something that has benefited Liberians, in the diaspora so greatly. And if you're trying to politicize this, we have a problem with it. So my work here is to ask Liberians, if it means that we're going to be in the hallway, if it means that we're going to follow the consulate corridor, we need to come out and send a message to the government of Liberia. The ambassador is not speaking. The foreign minister who is behind this is not speaking. And we have not heard from the office of the president. This is a consulate. This is not a boss call. This is not just a place or shop that is being opened. So I'm calling on Liberians in the Midwest, not just Minnesota, to come out on Wednesday. We will have KMTV here. We want to stage a protest. If you will ask me, I think from my conversation with people in government, there is this. I want to call it hearsay for now, but we got our country saying, wherever there is a smoke, there is a fire. This consulate is supposed to fall in the hand of a private company. And why would you have Liberia running the consulate when you have other nationals that are running consulates in other states, but your own Liberian is running the consulate, helping the Liberian people, and you want to give that contract to a private company? So when will we get to the place to start trusting and believing in our own people?
Right.
I mean,
and Mr. Will,
this for too long. So if you're just looking at the individual Jackson George and you're not thinking about the greater number of the people that are going to get affected by this, I'm calling on all Liberians within the Midwest to come out here on Wednesday, and we want to stage a protest to send a message to the government.
So it is not what, according to Honorable George, they want to upgrade this, right? They want to turn this from a honorary consulate to a full consulate. Somebody will say this is a good idea, don't you think?
Well, here is the thing. It's a brilliant idea if that is true, all right? But we have not heard from, this is conversation between Mr. George and the ambassador, not conversation between Mr. George or the consulate here and the foreign ministry. The foreign ministry have not given an official position on this, and that is what we are calling for. The Ministry of State has not given a position on this. That is what we are calling for. If this is the way, then we need to see the plan. We just don't want to hear that this is what we are going to do, but then come up to us and put something in writing. It is said, write it, don't say it. We want to know what the plan is. If you're going to go from an honorary consul to a full consulate, then it means that you have a plan. And we want to see where the interest of the people or the majority fits in that plan. You're not just going to tell us this is what it is, and you just do it. And it doesn't take a day. That's why it's called transition. So something should be replacing, or something should be active while you're working on. Our people say you sit on the old mat to plot the new one. All right.
So, Mr. Williams,
I think if I may come in,
okay.
In terms of answering your question, isn't it a good thing to have a full consulate here? I think it's a brilliant thing to have a full consulate here. I don't think the issue is whether there should be a full consulate or not a full consulate.
Okay.
I think the issue is even in the process, there should be an entire process and transitional process so that the people that for which you are serving do not suffer. It's not a rocket science to say, okay, we are processing the full consulate. Once the State Department approved this consulate on March 15th, we'll be transitioning, right? Okay. So that people understand what I need now is to inform the Liberian community that we are not. Now, I do not have an official letter from the foreign ministry, from the embassy, to tell the Liberian people that we are closing tomorrow morning. Yes, unilaterally, I can do that. But then it defeats the purpose for which I struggle to get this place in the first place, was to help the Liberian people to make their life easy. So yes, unilaterally, I can get angry and frustrated and say, you know what, I don't have to deal with this. I'm a businessman. I will continue to do my business, and I'm gone. But then I have labor in vain for nothing, because then the end justify the means in this sense. So then everything that I've done over the years will go in vain. So what I'm asking for right now is a clear process, and it's not hard to do.
So, Honorable Josh, if you have not been communicated to officially, why don't you go, on with business as usual?
When you mean business as usual, we need the visa books to be able to issue the visa. So we don't have the books, so we can't issue visa. So business as usual means we can. But I think the point is, I am doing my business as usual. I'm in my office right now. I'm working, so I am doing my business. But when the Liberian people come to the door, or foreign national, it's painful to see other nationals standing at the door with no communication. We should be able to send them communication 2 weeks ago. A month ago. We live in the United States. We should be able to tell them, say, by January 20th, we will be shutting down. Do not send your passports here. Redirect them. Secondly, if you are opening a full consulate here, my understanding would be, and what I would do, is to have a good transition. I've been here for all these years. I've built relationships. Who's supposed to be taking these people around to open doors for them? Wouldn't it be me who will be transitioning and opening the door to make their lives easier in the state? So we need to think through these things as a people. And in short, what I'll say is that we are all Liberians. And sometimes being a Liberian is like, it's a curse, and it's hard, and it's bad.
Mr. George,
being a Liberian,
Mr. George, let me hold you there.
Let me just conclude. Being a Liberian should not be a curse. It should be a plus. The fact that I am a Liberian American should not, because Liberian is attached to it, should not be the point to make this happen. We got consulate, honorary consul all over the world. I think I'm the only Liberian honorary consul right now, if I'm correct. So
and that should be a plus, and I agree with you there. But the question I want to ask is, why are the indications you're getting that suggest that they are trying to pull the plugs, even though you are saying they are telling you this is a transition, this is a policy to turn this into a full-fledged embassy? Is it that they are not sending you the regular quantity of passports they were sending you for you to meet the demands of your customers?
No, they don't send passports. They send the visa books.
Okay, the visa books. So have they stopped sending those things?
There are many ways to, yes. I would say, if you want, there are many ways to kill a cat. The idea the cat must die, right? One of the ways would be hold on to this, and we feel the vibes and see what happens. But to me, if I'm a manager, I make the decision. I make decisions. I'm not going to try to run around the cycles to make a decision that is easy for me to make. And so that's one of the frustrations that.
So by that you mean they're not telling you their plan about the transition? They're not telling you?
No official communication from the foreign ministry or the embassy concerning a transition. I've heard a letter that was read. I can't even remember all of what was said in the letter. I've asked for that letter to be sent so that I can inform the community and transition and move on. And I've asked for the most I've asked for. If I was fighting and say, I spent all my money here, I put too much money into this, I want to be here, I'm not going to leave, and I'm not fighting. I'm saying I've served this community with honor and with respect and dignity. If you want to reform and change the process that is working, I'm open to that. I'm not fighting nothing. I'm just saying, on behalf of the Liberian people that I serve, that I spend thousands of my dollars, give me the opportunity to transition in ways that do not affect them. And if that is difficult, then I do not understand what kind of a reform we are talking about. Reform is supposed to be to help the general good, not to affect the larger majority of the people. And so my point is,
so you are saying they come in with a reform and they don't want you in the picture. Is that what you're sensing?
Well, I don't know if it is wanting me in the picture or not. Again, like I say, this issue of wanting and not wanting, I didn't come to be honorary consul for life. I think I have made my impact, and so this is not a lifetime job. I've never considered it a lifetime job. I never anticipated it would be this long either. But what I'm saying is that the process must be clear so that we can communicate to people. We live in the world's greatest country. Communication is key. It is hard when people drive all the way 8 hours from Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, in the cold, in the frozen, risk their lives and come here with no information. At least if we had information to send to them, they wouldn't drive here. They wouldn't risk their lives here. You know,
So,
they
Mr.
wouldn't pay the money here.
Judge, Honorable Judge, but not sending you visa book, right, could be a way of strangulating you until life runs out of the honorable consul.
Well, I that's one way of looking at it. That's another way of looking at it. You're looking at it with green eyes, and somebody would be looking at it with blue eyes. But again, yes, you're right. That could be one way of strangulating and testing the community and testing the process. But that's the wrong way to do it, brother. That's the wrong way to do it.
Mr. Williams,
you know.
Let me have a question for Williams here. Mr. Williams, the community advocate, you are calling for a protest of the community to come and highlight that which, in your words, will constitute suffering for the people driving from Iowa and other places in the cold just to show up and be told that, hey, you can't get what you drove here for. And so you are staging a protest. How does that protest help to help the situation here?
Well, Mr. C, I mean, just to go a little personal, you and I have a great experience when it comes to dealing with, young Liberians and Liberians in general, from high school days and whatsoever. We understand the frustration of our people. The consulate had a scope of operations. Mr. George just made it clear, right? And I like the part that Mr. George has brought in. If you are not giving this man what the community is coming to him for, that's you trying to squeeze life out of him. The fact that you're not getting those visa books, obviously you're trying to shut him down by looking at him and saying, hey, just keep sitting over there, but we won't supply you anything. What is the essence of the consulate then? So if Liberians will be driving everywhere, imagine the frustration. It's gonna be ugly. People are going to walk up here and they can't get it. So obviously they're already going to be frustrated. So how do we communicate that? The fact that we are not hearing from the foreign ministry, the fact that we are not hearing from the embassy is giving some miscommunication. Yeah, we heard it, but it's not official. We heard it, but it's not official. I mean, that is not okay. That's deception to the Liberian people. All right. And the way to communicate this situation to the Liberian government, and maybe that's the way we'll get to know the letter Mr. George just talked about. Maybe that's how we're going to get to know what's in the letter. Because what we are hearing is this letter was read to Mr. George and the ambassador. The foreign minister is claiming that the letter is from the office of the president. So we want to see the letter. This should be public information. We want to see that letter. Let's talk about reports from Mr. George's office. If this institution or this establishment is not helping the Liberian government by generating revenue, let them come and say, we want to know a reason why they want to close it. There are words in the air that this is going to a private company, which does not make sense to me. That's number one. Number two, there is a political, ramification to this. And we want to understand all of these things. You cannot say you're closing down the consulate or you do not want to close the consulate. Or let make it even fun for them. Say you want to have a full consulate whereby you do not have a plan. The Liberian people do not have a plan. You're leaving things in the air and the people are confused. Now, let me tell you what happened here. The people come out there and they're not talking to the ambassador. They're not insulting the ambassador. They're not fighting with the ambassador. They're not hitting on the ambassador office door. They are causing serious problem in the corridor. And Mr. George being a private businessman who rents here and I rent from him, our businesses could get closed. We could get kicked out of the place. Do we blame the Liberian people? We understand the frustration. That's why we are advocates. We do not want to see our people suffering to this extent. This government need to stand up. We need to hold our government feet to the fire. And that's why I'm on the other end calling on Liberians to say, hey, we want to demand an answer from the government on this issue. We want to know the truth. We can't say it's a fact that the letter read is from the president or there is a letter. We can't say there is a true behind the whole idea of wanting to establish a full consulate. We do not know. This is all speculation. So the reason for this or the way this protest is going to help is and that's why we are involving the media. The government of Liberia is going to hear this. Maybe you're going to get the attention of the foreign minister to speak. Our target is not to get the president involved in this. If the president will have to get involved, we're open to it. We will have conversation with the president. But communities from different states.
Mr. Williams.
So, Mr. Williams, let me use this time to maybe apologize to beg your indulgence. Wednesday by itself will be chaotic. I have to deal with Wednesday. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that the ambassador will find an amicable solution to this problem. And so I'm asking that you hold your protest. I'm begging you Wednesday by itself is a protest already. Last week was almost a protest by itself. So I'm asking you to hold your protest. Let's give. I mean, for me, I think,
and that's my question to Mr. Williams, right?
Let it process. I like the fact that you're advocating for this process, but let's see what happens. Look, we are all Liberians, and no Liberian is more Liberian than the other, right? We all have a stake in our country, and we all must fight for what we believe in. We all must fight for what we want to see the good in Liberia, and that's why I fought all these years to ensure that this consulate work effectively as an arm to the embassy to help Liberians in the diaspora on this end do these things. So I like the fact that you're advocating and you're doing this, but Wednesday by itself, again, we house our business here. I house my businesses here. Wednesday will be chaotic by itself. It's a protest on its own. I know people would come here. I will be calling. Hopefully, I'll get a Brooklyn Park Police Department to be here on Wednesday to ease some of the problems. Hopefully, it doesn't get to that. But on a serious note, decision. If the decision is not made soon, I will have to make a decision as well. But I want the Liberian people to be informed of that decision, and so I'm on this show to let you know I don't have to wait for the foreign ministry to instruct me to shut down. I pay for this place myself. I own this place, and so I can shut down on my own. And so, but again, like I say, if I did, I will have defeated the purpose for which I spent thousands and thousands of my own dollars to establish this place. And so I will give them some time to think through stuff. But on a whole, if they don't make decisions soon, then I will have to make my own decision.
Thank you. And I have one question for you, but let me go to Mr. Williams first. Mr. Williams, I know today is not the first time you've heard of this. What have you tried before coming to the point of staging the protest?
So, like I said earlier, I did talk with then Ambassador George Patton from my office. I called him. I did speak to the office of the president. I am yet to hear back from Mr. Sylvester Williams, whom I spoke to from the office of the president of Liberia, who is I think the chief of office staff to the president. He had assured me that he would reach this out to the Minister of State. Today, I made a phone call to the acting Minister of State office through his administrative assistant, Mr. Sylvester Daltus. So we've been, trying everything we can within our reach to be able to get this resolved. But everything we're getting back is that the president office is not aware. The president office is not aware. We've reached out to the foreign ministry. I made a phone call to Deputy Minister Famulek, and I'm yet to hear back from him. And I understand where Mr. George is coming from. The people are already going to be frustrated. It's already going to be chaotic here on Wednesday. I was last week how to get in the hallway to try to get things under control. Here is my thing, fellows. If we do not fight for this consulate, we are telling ourselves that we are not ready to support Liberia economically, because you have to understand what we are doing. Our visits back to Liberia is an economic boost for the nation. It does not take away. It adds to the economy of that country. Okay, and that is our way of contributing. So if we just gonna sit here and say, well, you know what, we're gonna give the government a chance. How do we send the message? My thing is, who is behind this and what is the truth? What we want to know, if there is a plan for a full consulate. That's my concern. Is there a plan? I'm curious. I want to know, and the Liberian people want to know. Liberians come here, they're frustrated, and they're lashing at the consulate, not at the Liberian government, who is initiating this, what I would consider to be a foul play. There is a serious foul play here. And someone said it shouldn't be political. I think this is political. Why would you want to give this to a private company?
Yeah, and do you really know something that most of us, and even George, does not know?
I think I know a little bit, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Okay.
The current foreign minister, quote me, quote Sampson, Ned Williams on this. The current foreign minister has his own plan. If not, the office will have had a conversation with us. What happened here on Wednesday, I reached out to Mr. George in Liberia through his administrative assistant. We were told that the foreign minister had contacted Mr. George to do a meeting. Why was that meeting canceled by the foreign minister? Mr. George was in Liberia. Why was that meeting canceled by the foreign minister? Why did that meeting get canceled? That's number one. Number two, the foreign minister is trying to politicize this by claiming, and I'm saying this, quote Samson Williams, that Mr. George is not a seditious. Why are we discussing who is seditious, who is this, who is that? And I am challenging the foreign minister to come on this show, and I will be right here to tell the foreign minister, give me the real reason why you and only you in the government of Liberia think that the consulate here should be closed, not considering the number of Liberians that are getting, the kind of services they are getting through this office. So the foreign minister is politicizing this. No one else is. No one else is.
You spoke with Ambassador Patton. He's no longer the ambassador.
I said then ambassador.
Oh, okay. But have you spoken to the current ambassador?
We try to reach him today, but to no avail. I tried that today, but to no avail.
Honorable George, what should be the process? Let's say if this consulate was moving to a full-fledged consulate, what should the process be? And what would you expect to happen?
I think I know there's a lot of things that Mr. Williams said. I'm not gonna. I'm hoping that he understands about the protest, that I'm not. That he can postpone his protest for now. But the process, right? I would think that the first thing we would do is to send a formal communication to the Honorary Council and say, Mr. Honorary Council, this is to inform you that the government of Liberia, through the Foreign Ministry, has decided to establish a full consulate. And this is a full consulate. Beginning January 1st, 2023, through August 2023, this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is the transition. Remember now, I have a lot of reports to be made. I've made reports on a monthly basis. When I went to one day, I got a lot of reports here. There's a lot of government money sitting here that need to be reported. And so I want a process that gave me dates so that I can communicate those dates to the Liberian community, so that people who are mailing their books here, people who are driving from Wisconsin, Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, Illinois, Detroit, coming here should not be driving all the way here because there's no information on my website that says, this. I've went to Washington, D.C. I met with the ambassador, the new ambassador. I met with the Deputy Minister for Administration at the Foreign Ministry. I spoke to the ambassador. The Foreign Minister, we all in a room. We agreed to a process. I've yet to receive a formal communication to be able to transition, to move through the process. And so when you ask the question, what should the process be? I think the process should be from the Foreign Ministry or the embassy, a clear notification of what this process is going to look like. And with dates and time, so that we all can be informed. People do not have to get into the winter and come here or send their books and pay all this money and send their books. We're going to be sending these books back by Friday. If I don't get a formal communication, I will have to mail these people books. Some of these people leave on the 13th. Some of the people have paid thousands of dollars. I just came from Liberia. I had to pay $3,000 for my ticket to go to Liberia. Some of these people are paying $3,600 for the tickets. And yet their books are going back without tickets. In fact, one book was sent back last week. The lady thought her visa or English. She got to the airport and there was no visa because she did not take time to read to know that there was no visa in her book. So, why it is funny, or it is easy to say people are struggling. Some people got real life issues. The family members are in hospitals, are dying. Some people got to go to funerals. Some people got to go to their weddings. And they need to be informed as to what's happening. And my thing about it is just give me information to give to the people. Forget about Jackson George. If Jackson George is in your way, remove Jackson George. Let the Liberian people benefit. One person cannot be the problem for everybody to struggle and suffer. It should not be that way.
Do you think you're in anybody's way?
I don't know. It got to be. Because other consulates are functioning, other honorary councils are functioning, so I don't know if I'm in somebody's way, but again, I don't live on speculations and other things. If I have something to talk to someone, I talk to them directly. And so I have spoken directly to all of the players involved, and they are the ones that need to respond.
Thank you.
So I'm hoping that they will.
And Mr. George, based on the fact that you are an honorary counsel for this honorary counsel here in Minnesota, who are you supposed to be communicating with when you need answers?
The way it was set up is the embassy.
Okay, and you think you're not getting the answers that you are seeking to inform those you are serving?
If I did, I wouldn't be on this. I won't be communicating right now. No, I don't think I'm getting enough answers to be able to communicate to the general public the way we should. We have a website. The idea of a website is to put information on that. We have a phone system that we can put the information on, so when people call, they can get the information directly. That we not. I could not do those things because I'm between, do I stop people right now, or do I wait, or do I get clarity? And so as a manager for myself, it is frustrating because I am an administrator.
And so, Mr. George, one more question for you. Yeah, I'm sure you might have a little information in terms of productivity. I don't know that is the right word. All the consulates and also honorary consuls, in our foreign service. Can you say Minnesota is one of the most productive in terms of revenue and number of people you're serving? And if that is a yes, then how come? I mean, could that be a reason why they are taking? It looks like they don't want you here, given that this one is productive, and maybe they want somebody else here they prefer.
Look, I've learned to become a diplomat now, right? Over the years, Minnesota has been very productive. Minnesota has been very effective, and Minnesota has contributed immensely to the economic growth. This council, let me put it that way. And so we've made our reports. I have all of the reports. I mean, it's not for public information.
Okay.
But we have contributed through this consulate a lot. And so I don't think it's our effectiveness. I think we are effective to the point that we're getting books from people, mail their books from DC, New York, all over the United States to us. And so if we're ineffective, we wouldn't have people mailing their books from Pennsylvania and all the places, So I think effectively, when it comes to what we've done a pretty good job. I think what I'm taking it back at is if you are functioning this well and all of this is happening and something is wrong, more or less you will be looking for people who are not functioning and people who have problems. We have bare minimum problems. We've mitigated our problems very well. And so when it comes to functionality, I think we're one of the best functioning entities. And so I don't understand why all of these things are happening. Again, I'm a business.
Could it be that somebody think you're making so much money and
but all of the
you
all
get
of the
them
money
frisky
order,
and they
all of
would
the
rather
money
someone
order,
else make that money?
all of the money orders are written to the Embassy of Liberia, all of them. So there's none that is written to Jackson, George. And so I forward all of the money orders to the embassy. So I make my report, I attach all of the money orders to the report and send it to the embassy. So if I'm making the money, and maybe you're right, somebody might be thinking that all of these money orders are going to my pocket, but they are written to the government of Liberia, to the Embassy of Liberia. And so there's no way I can change them and put my name on it, because once you alter that is gone. So if that is their thinking, if somebody is thinking that way, they are wrong. And so they should rethink that.
Thank you. The phone numbers are posted now. You can call and be part of the conversation. 605-313-6004. The code is 791403. Honorable Judge, before our first caller comes in, let me ask you this. You said you had a countdown, 5 days, 4 days. I think you are to day number 1 now. So let's say Tuesday and Wednesday, if things continue as is, what would be your next steps?
Well, like I say, I think I will wait. The ambassador is in Liberia right now. He will be coming back soon.
How long can you wait?
Well, I can't say right now, but I don't think I have long time. I have
a week or two?
I think 2 weeks will be my cutoff time, so that I can amicably move on. And so it left again. I have called stakeholders. I've talked to the community leader. I've talked to OLM. They put a committee together. They want to have a town hall, and I don't have the information yet to do that. I'm waiting for the information so that I can inform the community of what it is. Understand that the organization of Liberians in Minnesota fought very hard over the years for this to happen. And so that is why I'm saying we need to find a solution to this problem so that the Liberian people do not suffer in the process.
You are a diplomat. Have you tried what you people call the back channels? Saying you're not getting, answers from direct channels?
Well, I think when it comes to, I don't know what the definition of a back channel would be, but I think
I may not be using the appropriate jargon, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
But I think I have reached a lot of people within government to find out what's happening. I think most people got a hands-off approach to this process. But again, like I said, if Jackson George is the problem, then Jackson George should not be the problem for the Liberian people to struggle. Let's find a way that the people benefit in Jackson George, who is willing to transition.
And Dennis, before we go to the call, I want to ask Mr. Williams here. The protest is stem for Wednesday. I see George is appealing here that you should hold on. What will it take to cut off the protest?
Mr. C, there is something political negotiation we call BATNA. And that just means the best alternative or negotiation agreement. So I think that's how Mr. George have raised here tonight. We will agree to that. Notwithstanding, we are looking forward to our message being sent out to the government still. If it is not through the means of a protest, this is a media. I believe there are people here who, are sharing these things on their Facebook. This could also send a message to the government, but we want the people to understand. We want the government to understand. We want the embassy in DC to understand that this is a serious issue. This pertains the people of Liberia, and we are not taking it lightly. We are going to give Mr. George the benefit of the doubt. Now, let me make one thing clear. We do not see this as Mr. George wanting to hold on to a position. That's not how we see it. And as a businessman, he could decide to close today. That doesn't mean Samson Williams or Anthony Sear or Dennis Jai is going to take over the consulate. That's not the goal yet. The goal is to keep this service running for the Liberian people. And so if we do not hear back from the government, we definitely have a partner. Like I said, we will be finding a way to reach out to the government directly.
Thank you.
We might not have the protest then, but we are not going to stay silent on this because it's about the interest of the people of Liberia, and we must speak.
Thank you. Dennis?
Our country, sweet Mandela, our country, that God gave us this country. Tell Liberia, that God gave us this country. We are calling on everyone here to come and pray for this country, Liberia, God gave us this country.
All right, let's take our first caller. The first caller here will be Mr. Elvis Morris. Elvis, you are live on Focus on Liberia. Go ahead, sir. Some technical issues there.
Big thank you to Mr. George and also Mr. Forgetting his name, I think Mr. Sampson. Mr. George, thank you again so much for your service to the country and for the diaspora Liberians who you've helped, But I just want to know, what can we do as citizens, right, to put pressure on the government? Because I'm just angry because this is something that affects me directly. I'm here in Minnesota. We've used that consulate. My mother has been using it for many, many years. I've used it, and I was still planning on doing something very, very soon here, trying to renew my passport. I've got a trip planned to Liberia in August. So what can we do? I mean, do we have to start getting on the phones? I know it's not like America where we can call our representatives and senators and try to get in contact with them. But what can we do to put fire on their feet? because that Kimia guy is an ineffective appointment. I don't want to even get on it because I'm over emotional right now with anger because it's complete nonsense. I mean, Minnesota, I think, is the largest population of Liberian in the United States. So how can they leave us in limbo by closing down the honorary consulate and having us wait for a new one to be open, which may not even do the same service or have the same requisite knowledge to give us that same service. So I want to get your answer. What can we do? Because I was ready to go to that protest on Wednesday. I don't even live too far away from the consulate. What can we do as individuals, as a community, to get the government attention? Thank you so much again for taking my call, and thank you for your service to our community.
Well, and thank you for your question. I think the question is it's a good question. I think I am an institutionalist. I believe in processes. I think I have communicated this with the community organization, the Organization of Librarians in Minnesota. I met with the chairman of the board. I met with the executive director. I think the community can also ask through their representative to contact the foreign ministry or the embassy directly and see how they can get redress on that portion. But directly, my advice would be to go through the Organization of Librarians in Minnesota. That would directly contact the embassy and see what can be done. The thing here is the process of an honorary consul to get another honorary consul here. It's a tedious process. If I have to do this again, to be honest with you, to go through what I went through in the first term, I wouldn't do it again. And so it's not an easy thing to get an honorary consul here in a month or two. And so I think if there should be a transition, again, like I say, let it be smooth so that our people do not struggle and suffer. Because if I shut down, there will not be another honorary consul here in a while.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Judge. We'll take a couple of comments and please jot things down and then we can answer at once. Let's go to Mr. Joe Moyu. Mr. Joe Moyu, go ahead.
Another great program, Mr. John and Mr. Sia. Look, first of all, I would like to laud Mr. George, the honorary consul. Because you can tell he's someone who's got his people at heart. But what actually surprised me also was that they've got Liberian honorary consul. Because as we knew it, and I live and travel to different countries, the honorary consul always be a local person from that country, but a rich person. Because I remember when I lived in California, just before I got there, our honorary consul was, they call her Leah Belli. She was one of the richest women in California. Husband was one of the richest presidents. But I think people that are trying to honorary consul George is trying to go back to that old school thing where you identify a business person, somebody with wealth, because it's all about money. And maybe Mr. George is rich. I don't know him. This is my first time seeing him. And that's what drives this whole process. It's somebody they've already identified, probably some sort of rich person in Minnesota that they've promised that position. They're not looking at the fact that the honorary consul, he's there to serve the community, and he's been doing from what Mr. Williams said, he's been doing a pretty good job. They're not looking at it from that fact. They're looking at the money aspect. Because if you go to various countries around the world, they tell you as a Liberian consul person that person is his nationality is local, and he's got money. That's how they've been doing it from God knows when. Probably from someone time to.
Thank you, Joe. We want to take a few more calls.
So to the caller.
that started went along.
Thank you, Mr. Moyo.
Yeah, you were saying?
No, I said thank you. Want to take a few more colors?
Oh, okay. Right, yeah, so that's my info.
Thank you. Let me take a few more colors. We have a list of colors here. There's a wireless caller with 612 area code. Your name and where you calling from? 612 area code. Your name and where you calling from? All right. Let's skip that and go to the next caller here. 952 area code. Your name and where you calling from? All right. Let's skip that and go to the next caller here. 952 area code. Your name and where you calling from?
My name is Prince Momolu, and I'm calling from Minnesota.
Mr. Mono, please do not listen to whatever you're listening to via your phone or computer. Turn it off. Only listen through the phone now and speak, please.
Okay, so like I said, my name is Prince Momolu, and I call you from Minnesota. I'm a graduate of the Foreign Service Institute, class of 2018-2019, and I was president of the class. You asked a question about the government wanting to transition the consulate from the honorary consulate to a full consulate. There are procedures that are required, and I think they are missing the mark. And when they miss the mark, it's going to be chaotic for the people that live in Minnesota in the Midwest. The first thing you need to do is to get an headquarters for the new consul general you want to send. You need to get an agreement for each of the staff you'll be sending to the consulate. And that is a step-by-step procedure. You have to read the State Department. You have to get the people you recruit. You have to get listings of their work and their children below the ages of 18. So this is not an event. It's a dedicated process. So how do you want to transition from an honorary consulate to a full consulate without the involvement of the person who is inside? How are you going to be successful? Who is going to arrange exit meetings? You have people that have come to the consulate and don't work there. You have passport, you have other things from going. Who's going to handle all of these services? How is the transition going to be done? You see, that is the chaotic thing about our country. People don't follow procedure. And at the end of the day, we get worse. People try to point fingers. I think it is about time that we join our brother Samson Williams to be part of this protest to ensure that we call the government attention. I'm currently in the U.S. going to school. And I think it'll be a chaotic situation to allow the consulate close abruptly without proper information. If somebody is beyond it, I think we need to rally forces together to ensure that our person who is behind this being brought to book. Because if we don't do that, it's going to hamper our chances. And the issue with Kenya is somebody who benefited from the benevolence of the Liberian people who wasted our blood and sweat to support President Weah. And today you want to pay them with evil. I think it's wrong. And Minnesota constitutes a significant portion of CDC in the diaspora. So why would we sit here and people who work for the government to come to power and allow a single man to ruin the reputation of the government? I've been in the country for a little over 4 months now. I've got the embassy in New York and I've got the embassy in DC for more than 14 times. They have never answered my call. So why do you want to put the people to PM on this? Is Kenya focusing on what is going to happen if this country is closed abruptly? Does he know the consequences? Has he sat down to understand the operation of the consulate? He knows what the consulate was. So I think we need to make him to understand the reality. The procedure of transitioning from an honorary consulate to a full consulate is not an event, it's a dedicated process. Like I said, if you have the time, you can come on the show and explain the entire procedure, the steps that are involved, the processes and everything. And that will not take more, they will not take less than 7 to 8 months. So if you want that done, why can't you sit with the person that is in charge? Do a formal communication, call them for a meeting, have the conversation with them, and then they will begin to create an avenue and open the path for the people who are coming in. This man who had a consular are living in the state for more than 20 some more years. So that agree today is successful to transition to a full consulate. How are you going to have meetings? You just get somebody from Liberia and bring in, they just can't, and today they go to meet the police chief. Tomorrow they go to meet the mayor of Brooklyn Park. The other tomorrow they go to meet the mayor of Brooklyn Center. You think that is how it works? No, it don't work that way.
Thank you, Prince.
So you have to, in our everyday life, you got to step on the old map to apply the new map.
Thank you,
So
Prince.
how are you going to do that? I think the only thing that people want to get a relative across, and that is not the best thing to do is to figure out.
Thank you, Prince. Thank you, Prince. You spoke well. Thank you, Prince. We appreciate your perspective. Thank you.
Right. And I like the song, Who is Beyond This?
Yeah.
So while you're looking for the next quarter, I think the other guy said,
you really want to come in.
Liberian being an honorary consul. I at the time I apply as an American, so I am an American in this position. So I'm not. It's just that by birth and origin I am a Liberian, but State Department would never have cleared me if I was a Liberian, because Liberians cannot be honorary consul in their own, you know. And number two, yeah, I know maybe he doesn't think that Liberian can be rich, so I understand that too. But I went through the needle eye like any other honorary consul around the world. There was no other thing. I went through the needle eye like any one of them. So whatever scrutiny and whatever guidelines that was set to become an honorary consul, I went through that process. In fact, my process was even tedious than many other processes, because at one point there was a struggle as to whether the process was done right, whether the process was not done right. I had to reapply, and so I went through a lot. And so yes, I'm a businessman. That's all I can say.
Thank you. Let me go to the wire again.
Mr. John, when you're taking a caller, we just got some fresh information here that we'd like to share. I think should address that. I would like you to take the caller first.
All right. Call out your name and where you calling from.
My name is Paulinus too, and I called you from Brooklyn Park. And I want to say how's up to you and the studio guest. The issue in the discussion is very much serious when it comes to the well-being of Liberian traveling out of the U.S. And I want to say very big thank you to the fellow guy in charge. He has done a good job. I have little explanation. I know he spent a group of Liberian community. I want to say thank you very much, and let's do something with us too. For all indications of what I've gathered so far through the by conversation, I believe that there is no procedure in place from my own perspective. And if there was a procedure in place, there is a procedure error. And Kimaya, who is the man in charge of the entire process, is not doing justice to the process. He's not. He's strangulating Liberians. He's killing the people slowly and making the government bad. And I'm for the ruling establishment. I want to be clear, I'm for the ruling establishment. And we're not going to sit here. We're not going to sit here. There's a type of politics. There's a type of politics. So if Kimaya wants to play political thing, no, it's not for politics. We are discussing reality. It is not about opposition for the ruling party. No. This is all about Liberia. So if anybody want to bring politics in this particular situation, we'll go on a bipartisan level. Opposition ruling effect will go on it very, very high. This needs to stop. If they have a plan, that they want to have a full consulate, there is a procedure error. And they have to go back to start a quarantine. We have to start from where we are right now. And I want to contact my brother yeah, I want to have open communication to the minister requesting that we want books for Liberia who are demanding to travel out of the country. We need to send that communication from him. We have to request that he wants books. Let me request and let it for denying of the books. So can know what we're saying. Because we do a protest both in the United States of America and in Liberia. Because this issue should not be a political issue. This issue is for all well-meaning Liberia, and it shouldn't be in politics. What everything we do in Liberia, how to bring politics into it. It shouldn't be that way.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And those that they well have struggled a period of time, and now they are having glory, and they should enjoy it. We're not against any full consulate. We are for full consulate, but if there's a procedural error, we have to go back to where we come from. So thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Let me take Darling Warwood before Samse comes in. Darling, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. Thank you, John, for having me. So I just want to say quickly to the brother there in studio, the honorable counsel. My brother, call your losses and go. These guys you are dealing with, they have no regard for the rule of law. They have no regard for what will happen to somebody, what will affect somebody. They really care less about that. So just save the energy, and you have a business to run. You have customers to serve. You don't want people coming to your office there fighting and shouting and bringing down doors. These guys are not going to listen to anybody. They're not going to change their mind. Elections are coming closer. They are scared in their pants. And they probably want you out so they can put a pro-citizen in there who will rally the base around here. And they really don't care. Imagine at our only international airport, we don't have light there. Many days, flight have been diverted to Freetown. And nothing is being done about it. And when they pretended to do something about it, who did they employ? A group who worked from Philadelphia, Maricopa County, who has a bachelor's degree. These are the people you are fighting against, my brother. These guys, they are from different planets. Brother, leave it. Stop fighting. You're not going to win. You can only fight human beings. You don't fight for reasonable people who don't play by the rules. And they're not playing by the rules intentionally. They don't know the rules. They don't care to know the rules. They are functionally regular people. So please, let it go. Let them have whoever they want to put there, whether counselor or full-fledged counselor or whatever. Let it go. You have business to run. You have your integrity. Have a meeting, call for a town hall meeting, address the Liberian population there in Minnesota. Tell them, folks, this is what it is. I'm not going to fight these people. These are not people to fight. So cut your losses and go and save yourself, your energy, and save your business. Thank you for all your services and everything that you have done for our people there in the Midwest. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me take the last call up, gentlemen. Last call up, Mr. G.S. Cameron, quickly.
Yeah, gentlemen, good evening, and thanks, Dennis. Well, I just want to find out from the brother whether he is a physician or you have had problem with a physician in Minnesota. Because if that is the case, then like the brother just said, just kind of as a loss. If you're not a physician, you go on with your business instead of fighting this battle, because that's how it goes, and that's what's been happening. I think you saw what the mayor election was in Minnesota. Our own Liberian went against Liberian to hire another person over a Liberian because only he's not a physician or he against CDC.
Yo.
So I don't know, if you're not a physician, then just forget it and
thank you.
We have business and forget about that. Thank you, and that's my contribution.
But the American election are also Americans, so no Liberian voters.
But then is the honorable counsel here. He says he's a U.S. citizen. So how can U.S. citizen become a citizen?
That's a question I'm gonna ask.
We are U.S. Liberian.
Okay.
You're talking about the other side, not the American side.
Well,
go ahead.
On the other side, honorary counsel cannot be partisan. So,
yeah.
Honorary counsel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Honorary counsels cannot be partisan, right? Mm-hmm. So we serve honorary counsels. Most of the time, honorary counsels stay in position for so long. Some of them even retired and bring their children on board and other stuff. But no, as a Liberian, I'm a businessman. I'm not in any political party at this point. I'm not registered. I'm not a registered member of any political party. Do I have my own opinion? Yes, I do.
I do too. And on top of the questions, because this keep coming, and I know you addressed this before. Sam Wallace said it is the prerogative of the president to choose the honorary counsel. Why are you fighting this? It is not an entitlement. He served his time. Now it's time to move on.
Oh no, I'm not fighting. I'm not fighting at all. What I'm saying is that in a reform, when you're having reform, the people should not suffer in terms of reform. So to answer this question, no, I serve at the pleasure of the president. I can be recalled anytime, and I'm willing to transition myself. I've never argued to stay on board or to fight. All I'm saying is that, again, for what I've labored for was for in the interest of the Liberian people. Had it not been, in fact, when this thing started, there was a white guy they wanted to bring here. The community rallied and said, with 40,000 Liberians, isn't there one Liberian in this state who is capable of being an honorary consul? Should we all sit 40,000 people behind a white man to be honorary consul? That's how I even got involved. I didn't. And so when you hear those questions, why can't you move on and other stuff? No, I'm not fighting anybody. I'm just saying I'm a Liberian as well. I want to be able to travel easily and make things easy. And we fought. I served on OLM board. I was vice president of OLM in the 90s. I advocated for a consulate here. So we fought for this for a long time, so that Liberia in the Midwest would benefit. So it's not a matter of me fighting to be in a position. I'm fighting for the establishment. I'm not fighting for myself. I can be moved tomorrow. I'm said I can shut down tomorrow. I don't mind. But at what good to the Liberian people or to travelers traveling to Liberia? So I don't want to be here.
Thank you, Mr. George. And Mr. Williams, you said you have additional information that just reached you that you want to share. Go ahead, sir.
Correct. So let me quickly point this out. The revised regulation for the that came up 2012 for appointing an honorary consul clearly says that anyone, including a Liberian citizen, that's Article 3, can be a honorary consul. So I want to clear that out first. That's number one. With that being said, why would we not? You see, the last caller or the caller who commented that was just posted out there. Now, these are the same people that will come to the consulate for visa or passport renewal and get very frustrated. And they will want you to do everything you can in your power to help them through the process. Now, when push comes to shove, as we say in Liberia, and then they turn around and want to politicize, okay, they want to be critical. You listen to that caller, the comment, you read the comment. Now he's saying why force it is the will and the pleasure of the president, and this that we do not have any communication from the president. I challenge the president of Liberia. I challenge the foreign ministry. I challenge the embassy to come up with a rating document. That's all I want to see, and I know many Liberians will want to see this from all of the calls we have heard. That's number two. Number three, there is a foreign company owned by a Ghanaian named VFS Global that is headed by Mr. Charles Boakye, who is opting for the contract to start this operation or to take over this operation. The $1 million question to all of the Liberians, including the writer of the comment that we just posted, do we want to see Liberia like this? Many of us have lived in refugee camps. I would take Ghana for a case study. A Ghanaian is the only one who is able to run a foreign business. A business owned by a foreigner is spearheaded by a Ghanaian. But yet and still, when we have problems, we run to Ghana. But you have Liberians who are able to introduce best practice in the interest of the Liberian people, bringing revenue to the nation and providing the kind of great services to our Liberian people. And others are there wanting to castigate instead of them supporting or us supporting the idea of trusting our own people. And then we're complaining about government. This is the time for us to send a message of a new beginning. We want to see Liberians who are qualified. We want to see Liberians. We got to be able to trust our own people. Okay, we got to be able to trust our own people. So when people are saying these things, let even ask the question: when was the last time the foreign minister visited this consulate in Minnesota to come and observe the operations? Because if you are doing these things as a foreign minister, then you understand that we do not need to have it or we need to change it. But you just speak from an abstract scene. You've never visited a consulate to come and observe for maybe 3 hours and see what's happening here. Whether you see the majority of the people that are benefiting from this operation before you make such a decision. So again, I'm saying, I appreciate that we can talk about this. It's very cardinal. It's something that's going to affect the greater number of the people. It's a violation to the rule and the act of utilitarianism. I stand by that. We are respecting the honorary council position on this protest for this Wednesday. That doesn't mean that we will not advocate for a protest. If it is the way, now let's get this clear, Mr. CA, Mr. Ja. Protest does not mean violence necessarily. That's not what protest is about. Protest is a way of communicating people dissatisfaction over a certain policy or a certain procedure or certain laws. So people need to understand that when we say protest, we're not trying to come and create a violent scene. That's not what we're talking about. We're just trying to find a way or medium to communicate to the government so that they're able to give a proper redress to all of these speculations, as I would call it still. So we will listen to Mr. George plead about this Wednesday, and Mr. George has given us 2 weeks, and we are hoping that the Liberian government can step up to give a proper redress and tell us what is actually happening. We will not sit here and see Liberians, right, born Liberians, whether they are naturalized Liberians or whatsoever. I think if they are qualified enough and they are doing the right thing, no one can stand up to say the consulate have done anything so wrong. Now, if you brought a white man here to be radical enough, if you brought a white guy here, nothing against race, right? If you brought a white guy here, and if he tells you, no visa, sir, I have the right to reject you visa or deny you visa, you can leave, there will be no argument from the Liberian man. Come here on a Wednesday and see how many Liberians are even questioning, why will you not give my visa? In fact, you got to give my visa now. I pay my money, not knowing that we will go to the American embassy right over there and we will get denied visas. And we will say nothing and we don't get that money back. I do immigration services. People apply for citizenship here and they go back and they deny, you don't get refund. Do you know how many people, Mr. C, do you know how many people that I see? I got over 238 clients just in Minnesota, 137 in North Dakota. Do you know how many people are frustrated over what we do and we exercise patience and restraint? Some of them temper with our integrity, our reputation. Okay? But immigration will give you that money back. But they will come to the consulate and they will fight against these people. They will show no appreciation to the point where we are at this junction and we say cannot get the same Liberian people support who, are beneficiaries of this of these services. So we are asking Liberians to support the stay of this consulate. I'm not saying support Jackson George staying in position. I'm saying support the stay of this consulate in Minnesota that is taking care of the entire Midwest and beyond. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. I see, let me read a few comments here. There's one viewer who keep posting, say, where are my comments? You keep deleting my comments, and that's all I see over and over. I'm leaving now, you're deleting my comments. I don't know where the comments is. And then there's the host is deleting comment and all that. Mr. Jawa, you're deleting comments. So that's all I see. And so nobody's deleting your comments. Another caller say, Mr. Jar, give the people opportunity to express their minds, and this keep coming. So I don't know, but that's it. Let's conclude this.
Yeah. So in conclusion, like I say, I think Liberians have legitimate concerns. I think while we await a path to a smooth transition, I want to urge all of us to think about our country from the point where we all have a stake in our country. We all have when the development of our country lies in all of us. No one person is responsible to help develop our country. No one group or one tribe, no one church or religion. Is all of us. If you were born a Liberian, you have it in you to help develop this country. And so whatever may be, whatever Jackson George is, I will still contribute to the economic development of our homeland. And so I'm urging all of us to believe in something. We must fight for something that we believe in. We must understand that what affects one person affects all of us. And sometimes we are never our brother's keeper. Sometimes is the messenger. We go after the messenger and forget the message. And the message affects all of us because the messenger will be gone. He delivers and he leaves, but the message is for everybody to hear. And so, when I make a final decision to end, that will be when the Liberian community now will say, Jackson, why? And you didn't tell us we were supposed to do this. No, I don't want all of that happening. I'm informing you now that I have a decision to make just as much as the embassy, the foreign ministry, have a decision to make as well. And so I will be making mine. I will give it time. but a decision will be made this month as to whether I continue to provide services here, or the government, the foreign ministry will have to make a decision as to whether they want to continue. So I can say at the end of this month, a decision will be made, and so that we can either continue to communicate to provide services or not to provide services. And to be honest with you, I have spoken to the foreign minister. I've spoken to all of them, and I've told them I'm willing to transition. There's no fight here. I'm not fighting for anything. I'm willing to transition. So to all of you out there, I've done a lot. I've done my part. I spend my money. I spend my time. If I tell you how much time I spend on doing this work, you wouldn't believe it. And that's time I could be doing my business as well. But the interest of the Liberian people is also important, just as my business is. So let me end by saying Liberia is for all of us. Government come, government go. People who are in position make decisions. And new government come to make new decisions, and they make new decisions, so those decisions are good. Sometimes we might not like it. Sometimes they're a bad decision, but sometimes the end might be good. But I also want all of us to know that we all serve at the pleasure of the president, right? And so as we make decisions, we must always think that these jobs are temporary. They are not permanent positions. We all will leave these positions, and we all will meet again. So we must respect each other. I've always said that our problem is basic respect. As soon as we start to respect each other, our country will develop. And so thank you for the opportunity to explain myself. I'm hoping that we'll find an amicable solution to our problems so that Liberians in the Midwest will continue to be served.
Thank you. I want to mention that Focus on Liberia is carrying on a fundraiser. We want to raise just $10,000 to expand our operations in Liberia. If you can, $5, $10, $20, $25, $50, or even $1,000 will help to make this possible. Donate. The Cash App and Zelle numbers are there: 651-392-6224 or $FOL Media. Please do that so that the rich content that we provide to be one that will benefit even people as far as Vubadi in Sando County, Paye in Lofa County, or Glay in Nimba County. We also want to mention that tomorrow, on the Hour of Politics, the chairman of the Alternative National Congress, Senator Daniel Neten, will be guest of Mr. Anthony Sear to talk about the ANC, its ideology, and positions on governor issues in the country. You do not want to miss it. Politics, political party, how are they different? Is it through faces or political ideology? You want to be here to listen to the political bulldog, host Senator Daniel Neten. That's on the Hour of Politics tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern. Mr. Williams, I don't know, you didn't tell us the name of the protest. Retire waiting or what? Anyway, go ahead and give us the closing.
So yeah, I was going to say that in my closing. First, let me quickly point
I knew that.
Thank you to Focus on Liberia. I personally just made my donation. I'm urging Liberians to start making these kind of donations. This platform is in the best interest of the Liberian people as far as we are able to get communications or information of things that are happening here and back home in our country. So in this public manner, I'm urging Liberians to do the same, donate to this organization. We do not have personal tie. We have friendship with the host, but we do not have any business relations. We're just encouraging people to donate. I think it's only fair enough. As far as this, I'd like to say thank you for taking the call, Mr. C and Mr. Ja. Thank you for allowing this to happen in a very speedy manner. I do appreciate it. We're calling on Liberians to start thinking about this. Don't see Jackson George, see the interests of the Liberian people and the kind of services that the consulate is rendering to the Liberian people at large. The protest is on a hot for Wednesday, based on the honest appeal of the honorary council. We're going to respect that. We will be volunteering here on Wednesday at the Liberian Consulate. My office will be closed down. I will be volunteering 8 hours to the Liberian Consulate that day to help their operations here. I think they need that. We do not necessarily want the police to come because it's our Liberian people. So we will be here giving services. If it means that we will be out there talking to the people to understand what's going on here so that things are done quietly and peacefully, we will do that. Notwithstanding, we are urging Liberians to start thinking about the Save the Liberian Consulate in protest. The protest is not out of the books. If Mr. George will have to make that decision by the end of this month, and knowing that I have a process or plan for the establishment of a full consulate, then it means we're going to be left with nothing. So at this point, we are saying we keep our plan, but not for this Wednesday. We will follow up with Mr. George, we will follow up with the foreign ministry tomorrow, and we will follow up with the Liberian embassy, and we will come back, find a means, if not focus on Liberia, we'll find a means to communicate with Liberians all around the diaspora. But I appreciate it, and let me say thank you to Mr. George as well for taking up the time. Just think about it. After 9 p.m. and Mr. George is in office. My office closes at 6 p.m. It's 9:45, and we stay here because of the Liberian people. That's how much we love our country, and that's how much we are waiting to fight for the change, systemic change for our country. Thank you all, and God bless us all.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. William. Also, thank you, Honorable George. Mr. C, I want to thank you also for being here and putting this together. I want to thank our viewers for always watching Focus on Liberia, by far the best on the planet since 1822. I want to ask. Oh, that's a joke. All right. At this point, we want to close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Whether you support the closing of the consulate or the expansion or becoming a full-fledged consulate, we are all Liberians. And the things that join us, they are by far more than the things that pull us apart. We have a lot in common more than the things that divide us. And so Liberia is that common denominator, and we need to remember that. We are all Liberians. Have a good night, and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.